Back to Citrus today for your Wednesday. Brett Knutson sitting in for Dennis Miller. Amy Duncan from the County Extension Office is here to join us as usual, and we usually have a good time when Amy comes. At least I do. I don't know if Dennis does. I'm sure he does. And as you just told me a few minutes ago, we kind of have a theme to the show today, and you're going to kick it off talking about volunteering. And boy, what an important part it is for everything that we do in the county. We talk all about the economy and how tough it is, and everyone needs help, and volunteering is a great way to help out.
Yes, we use volunteers in a number of different ways, and we have a lot of different opportunities within 4-H. And most people think of volunteers for 4-H as the volunteer club leaders, and we have about 70 of those folks who lead our 18 4-H clubs. But that's a big commitment to do a whole 4-H club and meeting monthly or twice a month. So there are some more short-term opportunities to just come in for a day and help serve the kids in that method. And I brought a couple of examples to show and try and recruit some folks to come out and judge. Seems like that's one of the things that I'm always doing is recruiting up people to judge for us, because we have all these kids. We have about 300 kids in 4-H and in 4-H clubs, and they have to be judged in order to receive recognition for their accomplishments. So we have a couple of things, and I brought a little slideshow presentation to give some examples. And here is my number. If you find any interest in any of these volunteer opportunities, it's 527-5712. That dials me directly. I'm the 4-H agent at the University of Florida, IFAS Citrus County Extension Office. And I have to say all of that when I answer the phone. So that's my number if you get interested in any of these. The first one is district events, and what that is our public speaking contest for the most part. It's happening May 4th, and our district is made up of the counties of Marion, Citrus, Sumter, and Hernando counties. And this year we're meeting over in Sumter County, so not too far. We'll be at the Fairgrounds in Bushnell, and I see a typo there. The picture cut it off. So the orientation for the judges begins at 8:30 a.m. and you're done by lunchtime. So it's a pretty short term. You really get to see all these kids doing their demonstrations. And what it is there's a number of events that happen during District Events Day. Actually, several different kinds of competitions. And I'll show you a picture of one of them. This is what we call a demonstration or illustrated talk. Aren't they cute?
Absolutely.
They are actually demonstrating how to make guava pastries in that demonstration. So it's a lot of food prep is one of them. And you can see the judge, gentleman sitting behind them there. He has this score sheet, and they have a poster and visual aids. And that's what a demonstration is. They give a speech with visual aids, maybe demonstrating step by step how to do something, or having a poster there.
And how great to get started that young. I mean, you're talking less than probably 8 years old?
8 years old is the minimum to participate. And here's the score sheet. And it's a bit small, but basically first part is on the member itself, their appearance and their poise, their voice and grammar. Can they actually speak to the audience? The second part is organization of the presentation. Categories include introduction, arrangement and use of equipment, visual aids, logical sequence, ability to work easily and efficiently. Do they not get tongue-tied? Do they actually have a summary? A lot of times they'll just end. They forget the summary. And ability to work in team. Those two, that was a brother and sister team in the picture there. They would get points for making sure they worked as a team, because we don't want Pat Sajak's and Vanna White's one person pointing and the other person talking. They both have to equally participate in the demonstration.
And I assume to be the volunteer, you don't have to volunteer for something that you're necessarily a subject area you're an expert in. Just come out and enjoy.
You don't
and
have
volunteer.
to know anything about any of the things the kids are talking about, because you're grading the overall presentation. You're grading how they speak, how they are able to interact with the audience. That's the whole point, is they're teaching you. So you grade them on how well they teach you. And then going on to the score sheet, the final thing is, did they actually accomplish what they were supposed to? Was the subject area something that had practical value? Did they stick to it? Were they actually accurate. And what I tell the judges is, unless you really know, don't hit the kids on the accuracy, because they probably know more about this than you do.
Yes, probably.
Knowledge of the skills, which is where they talk about the judges ask questions, and do they know that? So, and did it actually turn out? So the next one is share the fun, which is more of like a talent competition. And here we have Mariah, who did violin, but it could be any number of different kinds of share the fun topic areas. We have instrumental, vocal, dance, dramatic, and general is anything else we can't figure out where to stick it. And so it's more of a talent. So if we have anybody who feels that they are, a talented kind of person who could look for those kinds of things in the kids, this is their score sheet. They look for talent, showmanship, and stage appearance. So that's a pretty straightforward one, and a lot of fun, as the name would suggest. And then here's the final thing. Everybody loves record books. Not so much. That was tongue-in-cheek. We do our record books, which is the record of the kids' projects. And so we'll be grading those. Here's what a record book looks like. They have to set goals. They talk about their project highlights. And then we grade them. We look at photos and their stories and whatnot. So we are hunting some volunteers.
And of course, as you mentioned, they need to get in touch with you if they'd like to volunteer, and you'll take as many as you can get, right?
Oh,
Absolutely.
yes. There's
put them to work.
Yes, yes. This is what a record book would look like, and the kids do their records in it. They write what is going on. They tell us what their challenges were, what their successes were. They have a story, and then they have some pictures. And this is what's fun, is being able to look at the pictures and read the stories that the kids write. And just sort of like Scouts work for patches, 4-Hers work for pins. And you work all year and you turn in this book and you get a pin, and the kids wear them on their jackets and show them as badges.
As you mentioned, very important, this is a culmination of a fun year, I would assume, for them.
Yes.
Over 300?
Yes, we have over 300 members in 4-H clubs. We also do other things outside of 4-H clubs, but this is our core program. We have long-term access to these kids and are able to make big impacts in their lives.
Well, if you need to volunteer, you just get the urge. It's a great time, and it's very rewarding. Call Amy once again. Can you give them that number real quick?
It's 527-5712.
And we know how you answer the phone, and she'll get you out there to one of those volunteer projects, and you'll have a good time. Amy Duncan from the Citrus County Extension Office, University of Florida.
IFAS Extension.
IFAS Extension.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
We'll be back with more of Citrus Today right after this.
That's fine.
Welcome back to Citrus. Today, Brett Knutson sitting in for Dennis Miller, and pleased to be joined by Erin Pagán from the American Red Cross, and it's the month of April, a big month for volunteers. We just talked about Amy Duncan and at Citrus County Extension Office. The American Red Cross also always looking for volunteers, always looking for help. An important part of what you guys do, isn't it?
Absolutely. We can't do anything without volunteers. In fact, really the mantra of the American Red Cross is we are volunteer-led. So out of the Mid-Florida region, which of course serves Citrus County, we're about 20 staff members, and we are almost 700 volunteers throughout the region, again 13 counties, but we can't do what we do without volunteers. So we have great ways for people to get involved. We need people of all ages, from high school kids all the way to seniors, and we have lots of different opportunities. So I think a lot of people think that you have to be ready to be part of the disaster action team, which are part of the folks who go out at 2 a.m. and when there's a house fire, help a family with what they need to get back on their feet. And although we certainly need that, and so if you're interested and you're a fire truck chaser and that sort of thing, we absolutely always need disaster action team members. However, we also need people in the office. So for people who are retired office managers or secretaries, people who want to come in the office to help, we really need that as well. All the way to ex-media professionals. You know, we need public affairs volunteers. And so for people who are ex-radio, ex-TV and want to be part, we have volunteer opportunities for everyone. So if you go to our website at redcross.org/mid-Florida, on the left-hand side of the homepage it says volunteer very clearly. Click on there and immediately a page comes up with an application, and you fill out all your information, and then you get contacted by our office so you can go ahead and get into the queue, start taking some training classes, and we have all sorts of great opportunities.
And it's just got to be wonderful. I mean, this is an organization that's been around for a long, long time.
132 years.
Yes, absolutely right. And it's just a great opportunity to help. And you mentioned to me off the air, the office in the county, centrally located, so no matter where you're at and where you're coming from, easy to get to if you're a senior or if you're a high school kid looking for something to do and volunteer over the summer. Easy to work in the county, isn't it?
Yes, our local office is at 4218 West Gulf to Lake Highway. And so we do have an office right here that we need to have staffed. We want to know that volunteers can come and go out of that office, and that there's always going to be people there to get them the brochures they need, to keep things up to date over there. We have an emergency response vehicle, which is our mobile feeding truck. That's what we feed people out of. And it's parked right there in the parking lot, so when you go by you can see it with the big Red Cross logo on the side. But we need people right here locally. But if you're interested in kind of traveling around the region, we have lots of opportunities to do that too.
And you mentioned too, everyone thinks about the Red Cross, and they should, about what it does when there is a disaster or something bad. But there's a lot that takes place when those days aren't upon us, and it's just a normal everyday where there is nothing big happening, right? And
that is an excellent point. We have another tremendous volunteer opportunity. It's called our Community Outreach Group. And those are the folks who are going out to all the health fairs, the community festivals. We do community disaster education. And so people who, we will train you to go out and talk to people about how to get prepared for tornado season, how to get prepared should a wildfire affect, you know, a forest near your home, and certainly how to get prepared for hurricane season. So we go out and talk to all sorts of groups, churches and senior groups, and we need volunteers to go out and be that face of the Red Cross.
I was going to say that has to be extremely important, even for this area too, because there's a lot of people who've been here for a long time and think they have a plan and they understand what happens if a hurricane hits. But the more you know, the better prepared you are, because when that moment hits, it seems like it's a panic, and it almost has to be second nature to happen.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of people put it off because they think, you know, I've lived through a hurricane and I didn't need all that stuff.
Right.
You just never know what level of severity it's going to be. So every year to get a disaster kit together is extremely important. Don't think you've got everything or, oh, I'll get it the week it happens. That's when supplies run out and things get really crazy. So to go ahead and start preparing now, not to mention it can help with your budget. You know, getting all of those items together for people on a limited budget can be really impactful. And it seems overwhelming even to moms and dads. Oh, I don't have time to do that. So if you start now, by the time June 1st comes and hurricane season begins, it feels kind of more digestible.
Yes,
you know, okay,
absolutely.
I can break it up into weeks and that sort of thing.
And I think that's, I mean, most of us think that, you know, hurricane season, it does start in June, but you always think in August, September, because that seems when the bulk of them hit, but it's really right around the corner. As you mentioned, time to start just kind of adding a few things to your grocery cart every time you go to the store.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead and start now. Do it in small chunks, and then you don't feel like it's such a rush. And technically, because it starts June 1st, we could get a storm the first week of June.
Absolutely.
So already